Welcome back to It's All Wood podcast with Charlie and Hoopy. We're so excited to chop it up once again from an interesting subject. We're going to be talking from the topic of brothers, and we're going to really get exclusive about some of the things that we experienced in our childhood, but we're really going to focus on our older brother and our younger brother. And so before we really get started, I want to say to the Coalesce Group, thank you so much for your sponsorship and your support. Thank you for what you're doing for young people throughout Southern Cal and across America. We're totally engaged with some of the programs and concepts that you present, and we know that you have touched in the areas of exposure, education, enrichment, also encouragement and empowerment. And so we thank you for everything that you are doing, and thank you also again for the opportunity that you have given to us on this platform. Well, you're in store for another exciting episode with Charlie and I, and we've been really talking about this and trying to push some concepts that will be equally important to you as you begin to hear some characteristics about our older brother and our younger brother. And so, greet the people, bro.
I'm back. I'm the second half of the podcast, so I'm ready to get right down into it. So, without further ado, let's get it started.
Okay. The interesting thing is we just finished with a few episodes that talked about our transformation, and we did touch a little bit about our family, but we didn't, get that detailed about our older brother Pooney and our younger brother Pi. Some people know him as Pi, other people know him as Christopher.
Right.
However, I think that it is important for us to kind of share how it was growing up together, as boys in LA and also in Inglewood.
Right.
And so, we just kind of really want to touch on some of those areas that I believe will not only engage the audience, but give them a perspective, especially if they have siblings.
Right.
It's unique to be all one gender, whether it's all girls or all boys. It's a different dynamic. People don't really understand that because they usually have a
little mixture.
A mixed family.
Right.
So, how many brothers do you have?
4 of us. Pooney is the nickname. Curtis is the birth certificate name. He's the oldest. And then me. Then you, and then our baby brother Pi.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are their ages?
Curtis is right now, I think he's just turned 56, and I'm 54. Or is he 55? I think he's
56.
He's 56.
December 25th.
Exact, Christmas Day. I'm 54. Then you're right behind me, 53. We're actually every year we're the same age for about a month or so. Like you'll be turning 54 in another couple of weeks, and I'll be 54. And then Pi, I think Pi's like 4.5 years younger than us. So Pi, if he had lived, he would be
He'd be like 50. He's 50.
He'd be 50.
Yeah, he would be 50.
50 going on 51 in February, February 19th.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Where are they currently?
Oh, Pi, Pi's resting in peace. And we buried Pi in 2003. And our oldest brother, he's been incarcerated for the last, 33 years. So he got incarcerated in 1987. And man, he's been there ever since.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, Pi's death was a mere surprise. First of all, he was only 31 years old when he passed.
Right.
And then he passed literally a week before his 32nd birthday.
Right.
And that was really, that was mind blowing because his funeral was on February 18th. And my birthday
is February 16th.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was all these emotions,
Yeah.
Surrounding that, that transition, in all of our lives.
Yeah.
It impacted Mom
Yeah.
in such a way to where we were devastated.
Look, that one right there, man, that one was a tough one for me.
Yeah.
Because this little dude he was really like the life of the party. People think me and you are funny and we the life of the party, but this little dude had such a big heart and was such a giver. When I heard that, man, it just, it's so funny because I was on the set that day. I think was he doing Fat Albert? I think I was doing Fat Albert when he got sick, and then Mom had called me while I was on the set, and she was saying that Pi was asking for me and he wanted to see me, and so I told her, I said, well, I'll go and see him tomorrow. And I think I went and saw him on a Monday. And I went and saw him, man, and he was still in ICU, but I'm thinking, when you hear about people being in ICU and you don't know how bad it is until you actually go.
Yeah.
So when I actually went there, man, and saw him in ICU with all the tubes and everything, I cried right then and there because I knew that it was bad. So, I thought it was going to get better, and Moms had called me and said, okay, he's gotten better. He had surgery,
Right,
he's gonna.
right.
So, we thinking that he going to pull through.
But that was his second stint.
I know. I remember the
So
first
I went
stint.
the first stint.
Oh, did you?
When he was at Harvard, UCLA.
Because they kicked him out of Daniel Freeman.
Well, no, he went to Harvard, UCLA first.
No, he went to Daniel Freeman first. And they
didn't take him.
No, they took him, but they just kind of neutralized him and said, okay, you got to go. And then that's when he got sick again. He had to go to Harvard General.
No, he passed in Daniel Freeman. He went to Harvard, UCLA the first time when they first, when he first got sick and he didn't, the ambulance came to his house.
Did he go to Harvard General?
Yeah, he went to Harvard General because
Okay,
that's where I went. Yeah, I went to visit him there.
Oh, okay.
And they released him.
I visited him at Daniel Freeman.
Right. See, that was the second time. That was the second
yeah.
hospitalization.
Okay.
Yeah, because they treated him as just like this antibiotics and
then sent him home.
Right, and he never took the antibiotics.
Okay.
So days later or whatever, but that was tough in itself because it happened so fast.
Yeah, it was real fast.
But let's rewind just a little bit. Are your parents still living?
Yes. My dad, he passed away in '87 when we were. I was like fresh out of high school, maybe 19, going on 20 years old. Because you were still in college.
Yeah. It was in '87.
You were still in college. You came home for the service.
Yeah.
And so he passed away in '87. Thank God our moms is still living.
Yeah.
So she's still pushing and staying as strong as she can. So yeah.
Now were your parents together when he passed away, when he died?
No, moms and our dad kind of separated probably when we were I was maybe 5 or 6.
Okay.
You think something like that? Maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Around
Around
maybe
1972.
Yeah, about 72 when we left the East and came to the West.
Yeah.
Is when it was like I guess it was like really a wrap for
Right.
real then.
So after your parents split, we found out that Dad later, got married.
Right.
He had 2 daughters from
Right.
that union.
Right.
Christy and Tasha.
Right.
Our half sisters.
Right.
Which we didn't grow up with,
No.
but we knew them.
Right.
Of course, we're older, a little older than
Couple
them.
years, right?
Yeah. Well, Christy and Pi were similar in age.
Similar, okay.
So but we were the older two.
The older siblings.
Yeah, we were the older siblings, and so that dynamic really leads me to this: did having or did not having our father affect you and your brothers?
Yes. When you're younger, you don't think it affects you because you're young.
Yeah.
But then as you grow up and you get into adulthood, as a teenage adolescence, young adult, is when you start to reflect back and say, man, not having those 2 parent household, it makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when mom met our stepdad and he got involved in our lives down on Petway.
Yeah.
When he got involved in our lives, it seemed like, as kids, it seemed like it was for a long period of time, but I think it was only maybe for about 8 to 10 years he was there.
Not even 10.
Maybe 8. Maybe 8.
79, they had broken. Really, 78, 79, because I was still at Cedar Park. I was in 6th grade.
Well,
you were at Monroe.
Yeah.
You was in 7th grade.
I think I was 12 or 13.
I was in 6th grade.
Well, whatever those 5, 6, 7 years meant a whole lot.
Yeah. It was, and you knew it.
Listen, when he was there, we was on top.
It was
Look, when he was there, we was moving on up. We was the Jeffersons. When he left, we was good times. We was JJ. We was in Chicago. We was in Chicago projects.
No offense to people that grew up in the projects, because
but
we know we got cousins that came out of the Peplo.
Right, but basically what I'm saying is, when you have a 2-family household with a mother and a father there, especially when it's boys, that man makes all the difference in the world. If Don had stayed, and maybe you can attest to this, maybe you can't, but for me, I know if Don had stayed, my life would have turned out differently. The path that I went down, I wouldn't have went, because he would have been there as that mentor, and as that that guidance to say no, because he was the main
to help you with the pitfalls.
He was one of the main ones that really got us active in sports.
Well,
he came to our games, and he was a sports guy himself. He played baseball at Pepperdine. He was an educated dude.
Cookman too. He went to Bethune.
So he was an educated dude in that aspect. So I just know that when you got a mother and a father in the household, and you guys are raising your family, it makes all the difference in the world. Big difference.
I agree. I concur. Yeah. Now, we see that it was very, very different not having that male figure, that father figure in our life. Did losing your father as a leader of the family, in the death part of it as well, was that a turning point for Poonie and Pi?
Pi was really, really young, but I think it was a turning point for Poonie. I think Poonie got a chance to have our father more than we did.
Yeah, he did.
He was a little older than us. So if we're 2 and 3 years old and he's 5 and 6 or whatever, he's going to remember a whole lot more than what we will. Of course. So I think he was a little closer to our father, and he was more bonded with our father,
of course,
more so than we were.
Yeah.
So I think when that absence happened, I think it affected him a little bit more than what it did us. Because it's so funny, because I'm trying to remember the transformation when he went down that other path and we didn't. And we was talking about it at one point. I think it was when he was what maybe 10 or 11? Is it when we left the east and came to the west?
I think it began when we got to Inglewood. And I say that because he met older guys. If you remember, we were active in sports. Right. We were active in the activities, day-to-day activities that kids participated in. If you can remember, he always went off the block.
Right.
He always gravitated to he was a big guy.
Yeah.
So guys that were older thought he was older. Right. But then he was already one of those personalities that was kind of like, I dance to the beat of my own drum.
Right.
So he was always a leader.
Right.
Wasn't a follower.
Right.
And then he would recruit guys. He would recruit his own friends. So I think what started was he began to rebel against this new order.
Okay.
Don brought structure. He brought accountability.
Okay.
He brought discipline. And what was in him all along began to come out.
Yeah.
He bucked the system.
Okay.
He didn't like authority. right? It was proven in school.
Yeah.
He didn't get into it with the kids.
He got into it with teachers.
He got into it with teachers,
the principals,
with adults, anybody, security guards. Yeah. This guy was over there getting into it, sent to the office, arguing with security guards. Yeah. If you can remember when he got to Monroe. Yeah. And so I think that yes, the struggle of dad not being there and that being the first impression that he had of a male figure. And then our uncles. See, Poonie was always around Uncle Curtis.
Right.
He was around Uncle Kenny.
Right.
He was around Uncle Junior.
Right.
I mean, Uncle Junior was pretty much, kind
of in and out and,
and
but, whatever.
But Uncle Kenny and Uncle Curtis lived with Big Mama.
Right.
So he spent a lot of time there around these male figures. And then Mom told me when he was really small, before we came along, Uncle Roger used to spend a lot of time with him. Okay. So I think he gravitated to our dad. Like you said, they bonded in some kind of way. And then when we brought structure there, he bucked the system.
Okay, so we talked about structure the other day, and me and you, and it's so funny that we can have differences of opinions, but we can still talk about it. And maybe you can speak on this, but your opinion was, and your view was that you felt as though Mom shouldn't have let Don discipline us and spank us or whatever. But then I said, I don't agree with it. I think that, him coming in, stepping in as a male role model and as a father figure and something that we didn't have, if you got out of line, he made sure that, he handled his business. And then you were saying, well, man, I don't think it was right. But I mean, I can speak on it because I didn't get whooped. It was y'all. Because I was, I didn't get spanked, But I still believe, even if I had gotten disciplined, I still believe that he had every right to do that. And then we spoke about it, and I was telling you, I said that was a different era. Back then, it was okay. But now, of course, I don't want no man that's not my kid putting his hands on my kid. But this is a different era now. So what's your opinion about that?
Well, because...
and then you were saying that had a lot to do with Poonie being the way that he was and getting all because he didn't like Don and he felt. I mean, what's your opinion about that?
Well, I think, you're right. I agree. It's totally different eras. We had a different level of respect for authority,
right, and
adults. We were pretty much raised to be respectful and accountable in
all
society.
Adults,
everybody, right?
Yeah.
So with that, you had a village saying, you should do the right thing.
We're going to do it together.
So those eras are different because now the laws are saying, well, you're too abusive, you're too physical, we don't want you hitting your kids, you need to talk to them and whatever. So we know the laws change, but how people felt about their kids wasn't really the same. So getting back to the question, I just felt like because Dad was estranged,
right,
he was out of the picture.
Right.
No communication on the level of what was going on in Mama's house.
Right.
And by him not knowing that the boyfriend, not the husband, but the boyfriend was actually administering, physical punishment to
his kids.
Okay. I think that if he had have known as a father, as a biological father, his natural ability is to protect.
Right.
Well, what's going on, Carolyn? I mean, you got this guy,
whooping our kids.
You know what I'm saying? So in other words, I'm saying if he had known, I think it would have been a difference. I think because Don was just administering structure.
Right.
Whereas at Mama's approval.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he just took it upon himself.
Yeah.
It was discussed and Mom
agreed.
Exactly.
But you don't like that.
I don't think that it was correct in the way of the dad doesn't know.
But the dad,
and he's an absentee.
But he should. But the dad should have been more involved in his kid's life.
True.
And I'm going to give him some credit.
True.
Let's just say he didn't even live with us. If he would have at least been in contact with his own kids, call his kids, check on his kids,
True.
you guys going to come hang out with me for the weekend or whatever, then Don would have never taken that place. But Don knew this guy was nowhere around.
And you're right. That was established. And then you have to understand this. That was Mom's decision.
And
Mom decided because of our dad's behavior and conduct and the way that he, was doing in his life. How he lived his life. She felt that the best decision was to keep that stuff away from.
Yeah.
So she was protecting us in her way.
Right.
I get that.
Right.
But at the same time, Mom was aggressive, bro. She didn't need nobody to spank her.
No, but she was aggressive.
Because she was a goon. I mean, let's be real, bro.
No, Mom's is a goon. You right. She did her thing. But you have to understand that a lot of these times, Mom's is, she's a single lady raising 4 boys.
Yeah.
So she can administer all the discipline at once and all the time. Yeah. So she had help from Don. You keep forgetting, they used to jump on Poonie together. There was times where there was times when they in there wrestling with him in the room, and she holding him down on top of him.
Breathe.
He in there going crazy. Yeah.
I can't breathe.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to understand, Poonie, he needed something. This is a guy where he wouldn't come to family functions. It was time for us to go to a family picnic or whatever. He ain't nowhere to be found. We have to leave him. We come back home every single night. We come back home. We going looking for him on 108. But we jump in the car. Mom's driving. We looking for him over at Eric's house and whoever else.
Yeah.
He hiding behind the thing.
And little Michael Cowan.
Yeah, he come home at 10:30 at midnight. He's standing in the front yard. Hey, man. Am I going to get in trouble? Right. Am I going to get a whooping? Right. Nah, I ain't coming in there. We got to run outside and chase him.
Chase him down the
street. This is every night.
At night.
And this is when Don was there. And this is even when Don had left. Because you keep forgetting when Don had left, when Mom and Don broke up, we were still at that house on 107th for a while. Maybe a year or two.
Yeah. Yeah, we were still, but that's what I'm saying. I was in the 6th grade.
Yeah, we were still there.
And
I can even remember a time when I said that Don, he didn't whoop me, but y'all got whooped. I remember.
Oh, he's whooped you.
No, I never got whooped.
You got whooped.
Because
we used to be in that room.
Y'all got whooped.
Goofing off.
No, mama coming in and pop us or whatever. Yeah. But y'all got whooped. Yeah. Y'all got tore up. Yeah. You, Poonie, and Pop.
Yeah.
But I remember when the Hawthorne Mall opened in 1979, and we used to always go to the mall. But I remember I was in there, man. I was in Montgomery Wards. Yeah. And I stole a keychain and it had my initial on the seat. Yeah. And they took me to jail. They literally, you probably remember. No.
Did I go too?
You probably went for something else.
I got caught stealing with Poonie.
They took me to jail in Hawthorne Police Station. Had me in the cell.
I did too.
Moms and Don had to come and get me or whatever. But I didn't even get. I got talked to or whatever. But I didn't even get.
I got caught stealing too in Montgomery Ward.
Montgomery
Ward? Yeah, they put me in the car and everything.
No, they took me to jail.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
But back to Poonie, man, and back to Poonie and Don, like how you say, man. To this day, you probably still kind of disagree with Don disciplining us or whatever.
No, I mean it worked for me.
Yeah, but
it worked for me. I never had any residual from it.
Listen,
I just think when we had that conversation, that was just my point of view.
No, I know for a fact in this era, and I'm speaking to all the women out there who may be viewing or whatever, don't ever let no man put their hands on your kids if they not his kids. I get that. You know what I'm saying? But
why do you get it now?
Because we're in a different era. I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah, it's a different era.
I'm going to tell you why. Because there's a lot more fathers that's more involved in their kids' lives than it was when we were young. Back then, you have to understand, in the black community back then in the 60s and the 70s or whatever, there was a lot of absentee dads. And a lot of women was on welfare. Back in the day, the welfare people would come to the women's house to make sure that the man wasn't there and they didn't have fancy TVs or whatever. That's how welfare worked back then. Yeah. So there was a lot more absentee dads that wasn't a part of their kids' lives back then. Yeah. We are a product of that. Yeah. But now, they may be not as many absentee dads. There may be more fathers that, if they may not be in the household, but they're probably more in contact with their kids or whatever. And it's just a different era. Everything changes. You got to understand why you say why different now. Well, it's a different era. You got to understand, back in the 50s, when they showed stuff on TV, they had 2 beds. Even if the mother and father were married, they didn't want that visual of having, 2 adults sleeping in the same bed, because they know that people are viewing. So it's just a different era and a different time that we live in
level
now.
of respect.
It's a different era.
Yeah. So, but I'm just, and at the same time, do you think fathers cared less?
No,
at that time,
I don't think that
versus the era.
No, I don't think that the fathers cared less, but I think that the fathers were under a whole lot more pressure and a whole lot more oppression and a whole lot more prejudice against them trying to make and I'm gonna say something else too, and this is not to give the fathers an excuse. You have to understand, a lot of those men fathered kids before they went to Vietnam War. And they went to Vietnam, and a lot of them came back drug addicts and alcoholics and
Agent Orange,
PTSD. So a lot of those guys were absent because of that reason too. And like I said, a lot of them fathered kids, and then they went off to Vietnam War, and they came back all jacked up.
Okay, that's valid. I agree 101%. Think about this. Now, I remember this. I don't know if you remember this. I remember Ain't Big, having conversations with Mom, saying, Carolyn, I don't think this man should be whooping the kids.
I remember that.
Because when she sat us, it didn't even matter. We could be riding in the car with her.
Right.
If you did something wrong, she was gonna whoop you.
Right. I remember that.
But I remember having those conversations, and I also remember Mom saying, "Well, he takes care of the boys. He's there with the boys."
Right.
I do remember. I mean, she wasn't arguing,
right?
Or anything.
No, I remember that.
You know how Mom, she. When her mind is made up, it's made up.
Yeah. You can't tell her nothing.
Right.
Oh, you can't tell her nothing.
But I think that was because she understood, this man is an absentee. But obviously, he cared about his kids. He wasn't seeing us. But at the end of the day, she was feeling like, well, we know he got problems, but he's still concerned about his kids.
You know what I think?
Because he used to send messages.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something though. Aunt Big was jealous. She didn't like Don, and I'm gonna tell you why. No, she didn't. She didn't like Don because you have to understand, Aunt Big was more like our mother.
Of course.
She loved to come and get us. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So Don took her job. You keep forgetting. You keep forgetting when Don got into play. We wasn't hanging out with Aunt Big like we used to.
No, we weren't.
She would come and get us. Yeah. She would pick us up from church.
Now, she would take care of us.
Yeah, but see, she didn't like Don.
Yeah, you're right.
So that was her issue.
You're right.
See, that was her issue.
And I didn't see it like that.
Oh, I knew it
because I was a kid.
She didn't like Don.
But you're right. I can agree.
Because Don was a stable person in our lives,
and he was a man.
And he
stood up.
He was a grown man.
Right.
That come on, man, you have to understand. Yeah. Think about this, dude. In this era, you meet a woman right now in the 19th century, and you meet a woman that got 4 little kids, 4 babies, not babies.
Yeah.
This man got with our mom, knowing that she had 4 babies. And he didn't leave. And stood the test of time. This man got to be commended. This man deserved to beat the hell out of us if he want to. I mean, come on.
No, but and it wasn't like he was beating us. It wasn't like
exactly.
It wasn't like it wasn't like we were just getting whooped.
Think about it. Think about it. Think about Cameron Mays right now, 53 years old. You meet a young lady next week. She got a baby that's 11 months, 2 years old, 5 years old, and 6.
I was a little older.
But
than that.
No. But what I'm saying,
a toddler.
He was 2. He was 2.
Yeah.
You gonna wipe her?
Right. You're right.
Dudes ain't doing that right now.
No, you're right.
So you have to look at that, man. That's why I say the eras are different.
He was committed.
Man, listen. Right now, you got men and women, they may meet a guy you got men that'll meet a woman. Oh no, you got kids? How old are your kids?
Yeah.
Oh, huh?
Yeah.
10, 11? Oh no, I'm good.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm good.
Since I've been divorced.
Yeah.
And over the years, and I've met people, right? I've had women literally tell me,
I don't date guys with kids.
I don't date guys with small kids.
That's what I'm saying. So
and I'm like,
yeah.
So you don't even know me.
Right. No.
I didn't like say that to them, but I'm saying to myself like, but then I realized that's preference.
And that's
can't be mad at
that's
them.
her choice.
Exactly.
Just like a man's, it's his choice. Like, oh, babe, you got how many kids? How old are they? Oh, I'm good. I'm about to kick rocks.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. You gotta give Don a lot of respect, man, for doing what he did.
No,
he came in with kids that wasn't even his blood, and said, "I'm gonna be with this woman. I'm gonna live with this woman, and I'm gonna take care of her kids."
And he instituted a real program.
Listen, man, I know women right now, man, that's so messed up because they didn't have a mother and a father. They had a mother that was off doing whatever else.
Yeah.
They had a father that didn't
Wasn't
want
there.
her.
Yeah.
He didn't want him.
Yeah.
You know, he would pop up and do whatever. And these women are jacked up to this day. And that's another reason why there's a lot of women who have a hard time with certain men because they're so scarred from their childhood to where, you know, especially when they're scarred, but then they get out of the poverty and all the stuff that they went through, in and out of foster care. And I know women like this, man. And to this day, they're strong. They've become successful. They've bought homes. They've got their own kids. And they treat their own kids way differently. They got grandkids that they're they're fantastic grandmother to their grandkids. But they are so messed up because of what happened to them to where they wish they would have had some structure. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wish they would have had some structure. So, for us, like, that's why I'm like, hey, look, Don, hey, man, hey, beat the hell out of Hoopy and Pie and Poonie. Because I know I ain't getting, I was a good kid.
Right.
You know?
Well, I mean, we're going to bring this conversation to a close because, you know, we can definitely, add to it. And, we'll pick up, a little bit later, in the episode, pertaining to just what you're saying, because I agree 101%. I guess seeing it from your perspective and helping me kind of put myself back in that time, I get it now. So we want to say thank you for sharing with us, and my co-host, my brother Charlie. There's more to come, so look for us as we prepare to bring you another episode of this very subject, which is brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Say something to the people.
Hey, peace and love. I'll see you guys next time.